Welcome to ForexTV.com. It's Friday, October 26th. I'm Remy Hokie for your New York Forex Market Buzz. In today's North American afternoon session, Euro-dollar is trading at $1.4388 as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The pair hit a record of $1.4393 earlier in the session. Meanwhile, dollar-yen is at 114.26 after touching 114.56 earlier. And briefly in U.S. data, the UFMISH said its consumer confidence index fell to 80.9 in October from 83.4 in September. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks have advanced with the tech sector seeing gains on better-than-expected earnings from Microsoft, and also Countrywide Financial surged on profit forecasts. Joining us now is Meg Browne, Senior Currency Strategist at Browne Brothers Harriman. Good afternoon, Meg. Thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Well, let's start out with dollar-yen. The pair is trading at 114.26 right now, but with the market looking ahead to next week with one eye on equities, with the upcoming release of UBS and Deutsche Bank's results, and another eye on the FOMC meeting, tell us your range for the pair and where the bids and sellers are for the pair right now.
Well, those are good questions. Those are good points, because the dollar-yen and euro-yen have been tracking the equities markets. There's a pretty good correlation there, so that's one of the factors that's supporting the yen. But the real factor is the outlook for the U.S. Dollar. The outlook being a weaker dollar, with speculators slowly reducing their short yen positions. Now, going into next week, the market has priced in a 25 basis point cut by the Fed, and has swung toward a risk of a 50 basis point cut, not fully priced in, but close to it. But we're also looking at soft week. We have a couple of we have another confidence survey, a PMI. Weekly claims data have also been weakening. So, or weakening in that it looks as though more people are being laid off. So while these numbers aren't going to be drastic, they point to a softer Q4. So that has already been built in. There are a couple of outcomes next week. We're expecting a 25 basis point cut, fully priced in. The dollar is likely to weaken further into next week, but we could see a correction ahead of the meeting because a lot of news is priced in. Now, if we get that 25 basis point cut, the market's going to start looking in December for another cut, and that's going to weigh on the dollar going forward. If we get a 50 basis point cut, we are likely to see the dollar come off pretty aggressively. We got a knee-jerk reaction to that where the dollar weakens, and then we'll probably start to see some stability. And here are our targets. We think
you just mentioned your dollar and dollar yen, and with the dollar continuing its downtrend and a record synthetic high past 144 being watched for the pair, if you could also weigh on euro yen.
Euro yen is going to be pulled by dollar weakness, euro strengthening and the yen strengthening. It's going to be pulled back and forth, so it'll have a little more difficulty. But the general trend, we think, is that the euro wins out. It hits back above 65 towards its old October high, around 168.
Okay, and looking ahead to the week ahead, you mentioned some of the key data being watched, but it's that time again, and we have non-farm payrolls at the end of Friday. Now, this will be after the FOMC, so if you could briefly tell us about event risk and what this means for the yen crosses beside euro-yen.
Right. Well, the jobs data are expected to be a little softer than last month, around 90,000, down from 110,000. Another sign, a worry. It's not a dreadful fall off, but it suggests that the pace of growth in employment is slowing. Now, the real question is what happens to spending, and we really don't get any evidence of that for a bit. The retail sales number is one indicator, and that's not out till the middle of November. So the takeaway from the employment data is that if it comes in at 85 or 90,000 or lower, that the likelihood that of spending in the fourth quarter, which people are expecting will just reinforce expectations of another Fed cut. So if we see some sort of pullback of the dollar, with the dollar rallying in a knee-jerk reaction to FOMC minutes, soft employment data will...
Thank you very much for insight and analysis, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, too.
That wraps it up for Forex Market Buzz with Meg Browne, Senior Currency Strategist at Browne Brothers Harriman. I'm Remy Hokie. Join us later this afternoon Eastern Time for PM Exchange right here on ForexTV.com.